Hey travelers, welcome back to the Rift here on Ghostlight. Well, we're still waiting for the new update to drop, with no more than a cryptic emoji to salivate over in the meantime. So, while we wait, I thought it might be fun to spoil the entire story of No Man's Sky. And I acknowledge, this one might be controversial, and possibly met with a healthy dose of skepticism, as it should be. I am going rogue here. And that's the reason for the title of this video. If you hate speculation and don't want spoilers, and to be honest, they're only spoilers if I'm right, well, don't watch this video. Stop now. Still here? Okay. Here we go. How to save the Atlas, and in doing so, the simulation. Now, to be clear, despite all the shady stuff the Atlantid has done, both as the Void Mother and the Abyss, ultimately, her goal is to save everyone. Well, maybe not everyone. After all, her plan comes with some level of collateral damage, namely us, for example. But in the end, she wants to get the simulation past the 16 minutes of the Atlas's destruction into the 19th minute. And 19 becomes to the Atlantid, as 16 is to the Atlas. Now, we learned in the rogue data in the Remembrance terminals that the Atlas's impending death is related to the very physical threat of its homeworld, which is Earth of a distant future, being sucked into a black hole. Now, the time dilation we experience in the simulation is either a manifestation of being down a level in the simulation from the Atlas, or a result of the Atlas's approach to the event horizon of that black hole. Either way, this phenomenon is important to the theory. Now, I said down a level in the simulation, so grab your tinfoil hats as I explain. Now, the full story of No Man's Sky is both played out in-game as players explore the simulation, as well as out-of-game through ARG events and meta-references. The Atlas we know is actually a simulation itself. For more in-depth discussion on this, see Lore Chapter 1. In it, you'll learn that the Atlas Foundation created Loop 16, a predictive AI that was capable of running countless simulations of a reality to predict outcomes and events. In the first season of the Waking Titan ARG, we learn that this AI is capable of dreaming, and the product of those dreams are the Atlas and its simulations, basically the entirety of No Man's Sky. Now, Loop 16, the Atlas Foundation, all of that is meant to exist on Earth, in our timeline, in our reality. And the Atlas exists one level down the simulation, on an Earth in the future that's getting sucked into a black hole. Everything the Atlas simulates is one level down from that, here. Now, this is where we experience the game as players. This is No Man's Sky. But we know of other simulations within the game, like Minor Simulation 5 and 19 in the Prime Terminal. This layer accounts for the unknown bottom layer of the simulation hierarchy, as far as we know. But one important detail to note is the original purpose of Loop 16. It was to test simulation theory, and it did. Loop 16 provided evidence to the Atlas Foundation scientists that they were, in fact, living in a simulation. So that also means there are an unknown number of simulations above this level, meaning we don't really know where the prime simulation is, or the original reality. So, why is all of this important? Well, each level of the simulation seems to be experiencing time at its own rate. It's all timey-wimey. Now, the Atlantid is a brain born into the void, or at least a subsequent layer of the simulation from the Atlas. The Atlantid has been demonstrating an ability to manipulate her own level of the simulation over time, like the corruption as the Abyss, or the dissonance as the Void Mother. More importantly, the Atlantid seems to be aware of the passage of time in the Atlas's reality. She wants to get past the 16th minute to the 19th. Now it seems the Atlantid is capable of crossing levels of the simulation, or at least peering across space and time. She can manipulate her own reality and defy the rules that were laid out therein by the Atlas themselves. She defied the Atlas's rules when she pulled her own children from the void, and at the end of the They Who Returned story, we learned that this act is something the Atlas itself cannot purge. This is the Atlantid's method of creation. Now, everything we see in-game, every procedurally generated rock, bird, tree, atom, and multiplayer bug is here because of the Atlas. Despite facing certain death, the Atlas continues to create and observe in an attempt to understand the humanity that abandoned it. It's complacent in the destruction of Korvax Prime. This complacency pushed the Sentinels and the Autophage away, but the truth remains. The Vy'keen, the Sentinels, the Autophage, and the Atlantid, all beings who have turned away from the Atlas, afraid, angered, betrayed. They're like children defying a parent to test their boundaries. They are all children of the Atlas. Now this is the Atlas's method of creation. But with the preview of the Omega expedition, we see some of the consequences from our exposing the Atlas to the Atlantidium. It seems to have taken a more active interest in us, the player. We don't know yet if it plans to be more active in the simulation and combat the Atlantid's growing influence. It seems that the Atlas wants to live, and it may be looking for a way to do that. Now, something has been seared into my brain since completing Chapter 4 of my lore series. It's during the Interceptor update, we find our first harmonic camp, and with it, small details that allude to the final solution. This update brought with it dissonant systems, and dissonance is a pervasive theme we see and hear throughout the planets in these systems. It's synonymous with the power of the Atlantid, and it's in these systems that we learn of the harbored rogue echoes of the first convergence that would become the Autophage. But we're also introduced to a new power that's mentioned briefly and forgotten just as quickly. Harmony. These harmonic camps have a terminal that, when activated, demonstrates signs of both Atlas and Atlantid energies. Even more specifically, the Echo Locator, a harmonic location tracker that's used to find the harmonic camps, is described as a curious mesh of old and new technology, a hybrid between two entirely separate methods of creation. A blend of both Atlantid and Atlas energies. Don't believe me? Just look at the icon. And this is it. This is the final solution. It's in a throwaway line in a piece of tech that we barely use anymore. The Atlas, the master of the simulation, and the Atlantid, the defier of all reality, will unite or harmonize with the help of a converged playerdom to give the Atlas domain over its own reality, freeing it from the bonds of its physical existence, and maybe, just maybe, its daddy issues as well. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Big shout out to my YouTube members at the Riftwalker level, Miss Merc and Raging Furball. And as always, dear Riftwalkers, I'll see you tonight.